Peace, Love, Liberty Radio version 4.1. Initializing upgrades. Accessing peace. Existing without violence. With the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Ashes to ashes, we're falling down. Slaves to the men that stole the crown. There's a warning sign, like a blazing sun. You don't want to see because you're having fun. But those who control all the information celebrate and lie to the people to keep them watching.
Hey, welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. I'm your host, Darryl W. Perry, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, and today is Wednesday. That means it's the day that I answer your questions, and you can ask me anything, and I literally mean anything. And this week's Ask Me Anything will basically show that, yes, I'm serious about I will answer any question. So, the first of 3 questions coming in says, why are those that follow Christianity Christians, Judaism Jewish, Buddhism Buddhist, but Islam Muslim? And I think that what they're getting at here is the differentiation to where for several of these it's the ending that changes. So for Christian and Christianity, it's that slight change at the end. Buddhism and Buddhist, the only one letter change. Judaism and Jewish, there's a change in the middle of the word plus that final letter. But with Islam and Muslim, basically, the first part of the word changes. And this is something that really interests me, and that is language and the way language sort of evolves in English. To say that the English language borrows from other languages would be akin to say that what the conquistadors did in Mexico was borrow the land. The English language basically rapes and pillages and kidnaps from other languages and then holds those parts of other languages hostage. I have often said that I think that English is an absolutely horrible language, and there are a lot of reasons for that. One of which is that we have one word for love, but it can mean many different things. In Greek, they have, I believe it's 4 main types of love that they have words for. So there's eros, which is erotic love. There's phileo, which is brotherly love. You've probably heard of this place in Pennsylvania called Philadelphia. Yeah, the reason it's called the city of brotherly love is that's actually what the word Philadelphia translates to. City of brotherly love, phileo. And then there's a couple others that I can't think of off the top of my head. Agape being unconditional, eternal love. But again, the Greeks have at least 4 major words for different types of love, but in English, we just have love, and it could mean, a wide gamut of things. I could say, I love mashed potatoes, and everybody would know that that just means that I really, really, really like mashed potatoes. I could say, I love my brother, or I love my father, or I love my grandmother, and people would be like, oh, he cares about his family. I could say, I love Jennifer Aniston, and people would be like, oh, you just, you're a really big fan of the actress. Or it could mean that I'm infatuated with the actress. Not that I am, although she's probably my favorite person that was on Friends. And yes, that's a reference that's about 20 years old. You don't get that anywhere else, do you? Well, maybe, but nobody does it as awkwardly as I do. So let me get back to answering the question about and I'm actually going to delve into the etymology of all of these words, and partly because I just like saying etymology, because, it makes it sound like I'm a lot smarter than I am. But etymology basically means the study of how words came about. So for the word Christianity, in its current spelling, has only been around since about the 1300s. According to the online etymology dictionary, Christianity came from the word Christente without the H and with an E instead of the IA in the sort of middle of the word, which came from the French Chrétienté, which basically means baptism, that came from the Latin Christianitatum, which was the nominative form of Christianitas, which was the noun state of Christianus, which was taken from the Greek, which was used as a slur against the followers of Yeshua. The first time, at least according to the Bible, the first time the followers of Yeshua were called Christians was in Antioch, and it's mentioned in the book of Acts. And the term was used as a slur against the followers of Yeshua. The term Christian actually means little Christ. And again, back in that time, it was used as a slur against the followers of Yeshua. Yeshua being the Aramaic name for who most people call Jesus, who the Greeks that follow Yeshua would call the Christ. The Christ being the proper Greek term for Messiah, which is the Hebrew term. So you may have or may have not ever heard the term Yeshua HaMashiach, which would be the Hebrew way of saying Jesus the Christ. And the reason I use the term Yeshua is because that was his actual name. I'll get into the etymology of these other terms here in just a moment on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
You know, something that has been around a lot longer than Christianity or the concept of a Christ. Again, that's just the Greek word for Messiah, which is the chosen one, if you will, the one who will come down to save you. And most religions have a Messiah figure of sorts. They might not use the term Messiah. And I'm not, in any way saying that all religions are the same. And I know that there's that movie where they claim at the beginning that, like every religion's the same. See, here's examples. But that's complete BS because those examples that they give aren't legit. They just made stuff up. but something that's been around a lot longer than all of the made-up stuff is gold and silver. Gold and silver are legit things that you can hold in your hand. And, well, I want to tell you where you can get some. You can get some gold and silver from Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. People have been doing that for nearly 40 years. These guys have been around since 1977, selling and buying. Yes, you heard me right. Selling and buying precious metals like gold and silver. Tim Fry over at Roberts and Roberts Brokerage, he likes things of value, which means he will accept your Bitcoin for all precious metal purchases. And he has even permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760. That's 800-874-9760. Or visit them online at rrbi.co. Let me jump back into the Ask Me Anything, going over the etymology of the words Christian, Christianity, Judaism, Jewish, Buddhism, Buddhist, and Islam and Muslim. And the reason I'm doing so is there was the question about why are those who follow Christianity called Christians, those who follow Judaism called Jewish, people that are follow Buddhism are Buddhist, but people that follow Islam are called Muslim. And so I'm going through the etymology of the words. Just went through the etymology of the word Christian and Christianity. The word Buddha is actually, it's got a much older history, partly because, well, the Buddha lived in northern India in the 5th century BC. And his name was, I just had it pulled up here, his name was Buddha Shakyamuni. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly, but, the first Buddha, his name was Buddha. And over the years, it just went from, Buddha to Buddhism because, well, the religion or the faith. And really, I think that an actual Buddhist would tell you that the term religion and faith, neither one actually apply to Buddhist teachings. But, the teachings of the Buddha became Buddhism. And obviously, in English, it just makes sense to say that someone who follows Buddhism is a Buddhist. Now, here's where things get a little trickier, and that would be with Judaism and Islam, where, again, someone who follows Judaism is referred to as Jewish, and someone who follows Islam is referred to as Muslim. And these have more to do with different languages and sort of being anglicized. I've got an article that I'm not going to read the entire thing, but I will read their summary. Jewish is the word used to refer to everything that relates to the culture and the religion of people who are ethnically Jewish. Hebrew is used to refer to the Jewish people or the Israelites, but is also the name of their religion. Jewish has a more religious connotation, while Hebrew does not. Today, Israelites are more often referred to as Jewish rather than Hebrew, which was the term used before the conquest of Canaan, which is most of the land of what people refer to now as Israel. The word Jewish does come from the word Jew, which actually comes from the Latin word Judaeus, meaning the land of Judea. And this from the time when the kingdom of Israel, back, almost 3 millennia ago, the kingdom of Israel split in two. There was Israel and there was Judea. So the word Jew comes from a translation of Judaeus, meaning the land of Judea. and also from the Hebrew Yehudi, which is the term used to refer to the tribe of Judah, who was the fourth son of Jacob, who changed his name to Israel. The thing here continues. The word Hebrew comes from the Latin Hebraeus and the Hebrew word Ibri, which were both derived from Eber, who was an ancestor of Abraham. So basically all of the descendants of Abraham's, I believe it was his grandfather, are technically Hebrew, but only the descendants of Judah technically are Jewish, although all Israelite descendants, Israelite being the proper term for descendants of Jacob, who was the grandson of Abraham. Confused yet? Hopefully you're not, because I've not gotten into the difference between Islam and Muslim. And again, it's because it's a foreign language, and the parts of the language or the parts of the words that get changed, basically they flip in some languages. So the prefix, or what in English we think of as the prefix, that being the beginning of the word, winds up getting changed in Arabic. Both Islam and Muslim come from the same root word, meaning peace. But again, it has more to do with the part of the word that gets changed in that language. I would delve into this a little bit more. I will post the links to the etymology in the show notes. I've got more questions to answer, and I don't have a whole lot of time to do it. So stay tuned to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
During the 2013 Porcupine Freedom Festival, Davi Barker presented an idea for a renegade psychological experiment. Since then, he has refined his idea and put his plan and research into writing. He explains, "We aim to show the world beyond a shadow of a doubt that power corrupts absolutely and corrupt authority deserves no obedience." Authoritarian Sociopathy is available from Amazon.com, all major bookstores, and now available as an audiobook. Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at weusecoins.com. That's weusecoins.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I know it's the Ask Me Anything episode, which means I answer your questions, but, well, we're going to sort of flip the script here, and I'm going to ask you a question real quick. Are you fed up with the government running every aspect of your life? You are? Good. Next question. Are you listening to the Lava Flow podcast yet? You're not? What is wrong with you? Wait just a brief moment before you pause this podcast. Wait until I tell you to go to thelavaflow.com/listen and then subscribe. All right, press pause. Do that. You're back? All right, good. Unpause. The Lava Flow podcast channels the flow of information to the libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, voluntarist, and agorist community. Subscribe today using any podcatcher at thelavaflow.com/listen. And it's not just the Lava Flow podcast, it's also the Lava Spurt. So twice as many podcasts, actually a little over twice as many, because he's doing this thing weekly. So the Lava Spurt comes out weekly. The Lava Flow comes out every 2 weeks. So you get 3 podcasts for the price of 1. The low price of free $99, unless you're one of his supporters. But go to thelavaflow.com/listen. The Lava Flow podcast, striking the root every episode. Speaking of striking roots, the next question in the Ask Me Anything. Darryl, are you an anarchist? And this was actually sent to me via Twitter through a direct message, so I don't know if it was intended to be a thing for the Ask Me Anything, but I responded, I'll answer this in the next Ask Me Anything, and the guy said, cool. So here's how I will answer the question of, are you an anarchist? I don't disavow the term. Like, if somebody were to say, Darryl, you're a socialist, I would be like, you are absolutely wrong 1 billion%, and here's all the reasons why you're wrong. But if somebody says Darryl's an anarchist, I'm not going to argue. Yes, I don't want coercive government to exist. I do not want a coercive ruler, which means that by definition, yes, I'm an anarchist. I prefer to use the term voluntarist, meaning that I want all interactions between human beings to be 100% voluntary. Now, I know that the argument can be made because Karl Wattner, the guy that came up with the term, says that no voluntarist could cast a ballot or vote or do any kind of anything that in any way relates to electoral whatever. And to that I say, then you cannot interact with any other human being. The only way that you can be a 100% philosophical anarchist and not have any ties to, some objection of, well, you walked on a sidewalk, well, you drove on a road, well, you bought a pack of cigarettes and there's taxes on that, you paid for gas and there's taxes on that, you bought a lottery ticket, blah, 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 blah. There's always some objection whenever you tell somebody that you're opposed to government. There's always this objection. Well, you use this service, you use that service. Well, actually, no, I don't. I don't use the service, and I'm using that in air quotes, of the U.S. military. Certainly, the U.S. military does things, and they claim that they're supporting me. They claim that they're fighting for my freedom, but what they're actually doing is killing innocent men, women, and children around the globe and calling it fighting for freedom. I don't want any part of that, so I'm not paying for it. If that's me using a service and mooching, then allow me to come over to your house and repaint your car and then yell at you for using my services without paying me. Because that's basically what it is. Somebody is doing something claiming I'm providing a service, and if you don't pay, you're mooching. Well, I never asked for your damn service, so stop giving it to me. So, to sort of go back and be a little less angry, to answer the question, Darryl, are you an anarchist? Again, I don't disavow the term, but I remember where I was going on my little train of thought before it sort of jumped rails. I guess somebody pulled the trolley lever meme and like it jumped over and killed some brain cells or something. But anyway, where I was going is that there are people that will say, no voluntarist can fill in the blank, or no anarchist can fill in the blank. The only way that you can be a 100% philosophical anarchist or philosophical voluntarist and fit everybody's definition is to go live in the middle of the woods somewhere on a piece of land that you don't pay taxes on, that you hopefully have permission of the landowner of, because otherwise you'd be violating some kind of something. So go homestead 3 acres in the middle of a, wilderness area in Arizona or Montana somewhere, piece of land that the federal government claims, go homestead that, don't pay any taxes, don't communicate with another human being, because if you do, then somehow you're connected to somebody that paid a tax, or somebody that used a quote-unquote service, somebody that drove on a road, somebody that, looked at something that somehow, had a tax associated with it. So you would have to grow all of your own food. And most people are not able to grow all of their food. People might be able to grow most of their food, but you're not going to be able to grow everything that you consume. You're not going to be able to, in any way, as a 100% philosophical anarchist, be able to use the internet, because the internet was created by the U.S. government. Oh, you don't believe me? Yes, it absolutely was. The internet was created by the military as a way to make sure that communications would not go down if the grid went out. Can't use the internet if you're a philosophical anarchist. So, yes, I am an anarchist. There's one more question.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
This is Paige Peterson from Made Safe, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. The final question this week, actually, it's two questions. Darryl, did I miss the AMA? No, you didn't. Well, now there's the actual question, and I really only wanted to include that because I thought it was funny, and I know that the person that sent that to me is going to have a kick out of the fact that I included the did I miss the AMA question in the actual show. So the actual question is there a law regarding dogs left in homes? At what point is it abandonment? All I can find is 10 days if left in the care of a vet. Backstory: left the dog in a house for 48 hours with food and water. Neighbors called the cops. Now, I happen to know that this individual lives in Pennsylvania. And so I pulled up the law or statute, whatever the hell you want to call it, regarding dogs and animals and abandonment. I, as always, will post this in the show notes. It is Title 34 of the Pennsylvania statutes, and searching for abandoned. In the long statute here, there's a definition of abandon: to forsake entirely, or to neglect or refuse to provide or perform the legal obligation for the care and support of an animal by its owner or agent. Next line, abandonment is defined as relinquishment of all rights and claims to an animal by its owner. There's then the penalties, and they spell out the crime of abandonment of animal by owner. The penalty is a fine of not less than $300 and not more than $1,000 plus cost. And this is where it gets sort of iffy, sort of whatever, to where it's not necessarily defined exactly what determines whether or not someone has abandoned an animal. It only mentions the aforementioned leaving in the care of a vet. And it does say that if you leave the dog at the vet for more than 10 days, then it will be considered an abandoned animal. Now, the whole thing of I was gone for 2 days, the dog had food and water, but the neighbor called the cops, that's just a bad neighbor. Really, like, if you're concerned about the dog and you're like, nobody's home, go check on the dog. Be a decent human being. People get killed when you call the cops. This is the Ask Me Anything episode. Send questions, AMA at fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.